All right, guys, this is one of those stories here that doesn't make for a sexy title. It doesn't make for something that's going to get, a million views or be plastered all on MSNBC and CNN. But this is so important and so devastating, and I had to share it with you. So this is from ProPublica. Shout out to them. Records obtained by ProPublica indicate that food banks across the country were expecting more than 27 million pounds of chicken, 2 million gallons of milk, 10 million pounds of dried fruit, and 60 million eggs that never arrived. So the TLDR is Trump canceled literally 94 million pounds of food. Trump canceled 94 million pounds of food. Here's what never arrived. So ProPublica obtained records from the Department of Agriculture that detail the millions of pounds of food down to the number of eggs that never reached food banks because of the administration's cuts. On a sweltering morning in Vidalia, Louisiana, Shannon Cornwell and Freddie Green got in a long line to wait for food. The couple has struggled to pay for groceries amid soaring prices and health setbacks, they said. She had back surgery. He had undergone cancer treatment. They turned to a local food bank to supplement their diets, although they're grateful for the food. Lately, they've noticed changes in what they receive. For months in the spring and summer, their pickups did not include any meat, Cornwell said. You have to learn how to adapt to what you have, Green said, which is hard, Cornwell added. So let me scroll here. In the spring, the Trump administration abruptly cut $500 million in deliveries from a program that sends U.S.-produced meat, dairy, eggs, and produce to food banks and other organizations across the country. About a quarter of the funding the program received in 2024. A quarter, Jesus. The items that were delivered through the Emergency Food Assistance Program were some of the healthiest, most expensive items that organizations distribute. The cancellation of these deliveries comes at a critical time for food banks. Food insecurity is higher than at any time since the aftermath of the Great Recession, according to federal data, and many food banks are reporting higher need than they saw at the peak of the pandemic. People are starving more now than they were at the peak of the pandemic when you had long lines of cars at food banks. Demand is only expected to increase. This summer, President Donald Trump signed into law the largest cut to food stamps in the program's history, kicking 3 million people off it. ProPublica obtained records from the Department of Agriculture of each planned delivery in 2025, detailing the millions of pounds of food down to the number of eggs that never reached hungry people because of the administration's cuts. So as I scroll here, every single truck you see on screen represents a truck of food that was cut, that no food bank got and no people got. So as I scroll, you'll see what we're talking about here. So much food was not given to these food banks, which means people are starving. The cancellations begin in mid-May when over 100 orders of 2% milk bound for 31 states were halted. 2,300 gallons of 2% milk. That's from the Heart of Alabama Food Bank, one of 23 canceled deliveries. 4,050 gallons of 2% milk. Greater Chicago Food Depository in Illinois, one of 52 canceled deliveries. So as I scroll here, you can see all these trucks not delivered. The records show 4,304 canceled deliveries between May and September across the 50 states, Puerto Rico, and D.C. Each truck here represents a delivery that would never arrive to feed communities. 20,000 pounds of pulled pork, 38,400 pounds of turkey breast, 19,000 pounds of pork chops, 4,640 pounds of chicken legs. All told, the deliveries accounted for 94 million pounds of food. The true loss is likely greater, Food Bank said, because not all of the year's deliveries had been scheduled. Healthy foods are some of the first things to be cut from someone's budget when they're struggling to make ends meet, and so it's really a lose-lose for everyone involved. 29,200 pounds of turkey breast cut. The cost is really high for protein, and for food banks across the country, there is no special pipeline to cheaper food. 40,000 pounds of pulled pork cut. The next time you see one of these trucks driving down the street, you got to realize that it's carrying less food this year than it was last year, and that's because of the food that we're not getting from the USDA. 18,000 pounds of dried pitted plums cut. So, man, that's so crazy. At a time when unemployment is going up, inflation is going up, people are struggling more than at the heart of the pandemic, as they say. That's when Trump and MAGA decided, well, let's just illegally, by the way, cut the food going to the food banks, which people desperately, desperately need. Again, there's no other way to say this other than this is a war on the American people. This is a war. And this is what you get with Project 2025. This is what you get with the destruction of the regulatory state and the administrative state and all the government agencies that do anything good at all. Those are the things they're cutting. They want to make bigger the parts of government that suck, like the Pentagon, the warfare state, fucking corporate subsidies, corporate welfare. That's what they want to explode, while at the same time cutting all the programs for working people, right? Cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare, cutting Social Security, cutting this food assistance, cutting the SNAP program, 17 million people kicked off their health care. This is what we're looking at. And so this is the end result. It's absolutely horrifying. And this is not something, as I said, this isn't a sexy story. This isn't going to make the headlines, even though it should. This should be a fucking breaking news story that everybody's talking about. But unfortunately, the media thinks people have the, horrible fucking priorities. And so they wouldn't have this as a highlighted story. But guess what? People are struggling and they're fucking feeling it. And it would be nice for everybody to be educated on just how bad it is and exactly who the fucking problem is. Right? So, but here we are. Destroying the country proudly, while at the same time, by the way, giving, $40 billion to the psychopathic, schizophrenic, anarcho-capitalist in Argentina? $40 billion for him, $250 million for his shitty fucking ballroom that he's building during the government shutdown? But sorry, we don't have any food to feed your kid. Suck it up and deal with it. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.